It's bacon time. Hey, everybody. That was a total disaster of a start to the show, but hey, whatever. We're gonna try to pick it right back up. This is what happens when you don't actually produce the show for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. Or maybe I just need to drink, a little more of the Shanky's Whip whiskey. It's fantastic stuff. All right, I'm gonna bring everybody else on here. Welcome to Dads with Bacon, talking sports for August 29th, 2024. Actually, the first full Thursday of college football. So we're going to be talking about that we got Big Ben, we got Troy, we got Steve, we got Adam, we got Charles. Hello, fellas. Sorry about that horrible start, but here we go.
Shit happens, but do we have a sponsor?
I was just going to say, hashtag become a sponsor.
I would love
to. I'll tell you what, Aaron, if you find a sponsor, I'll make sure I produce the rest of the shows going forward, so there's no problems.
All Ben asked for return as a case of
what, if Shanky's Whip wants to sponsor, they'll be like, yeah, just make sure you don't produce the show. That's fine. That's fine. I'll find someone else. So anyway, good to have everybody here. We took a week off last week. We kind of figured, end of the summer, I think a bunch of us couldn't do it. And I believe Steve might have been the one that suggested, hey, if the NFL takes off for a week before they start, why don't we? And I was like, you know what? I like what you're thinking there, Steve. So we did. And so
if you're in Pittsburgh,
what was that, Ben?
If you're in Pittsburgh, take off half the season and then blame that on the
refs. Shots fired. Nice. All right. Well,
sorry. Defense and
Steelers fans, where are you at?
I thought you were talking about the Pirates.
Not me.
Play the Falcons defense in week 1 on DraftKings. All I'm saying.
All right. So we're gonna start. Like I said, we'll do a college football preview tonight. We'll do one last kind of NFL preview before next week, when we're doing the show next week. We'll actually have is going to be the Ravens and Chiefs, I believe, is the first game of the year.
We're 1 week away.
Exactly. Thank God. I love this time of year. I absolutely love this time of year. I love fall. I get tired of humidity after a while, so it's like the fall comes in. You have the crisp, hoodie weather. You got football. It's beautiful. Anyway, Adam, you got places to go and people to see. You're a popular guy, so why don't we get you started with your fantasy football primer? And like I said, Charles, you guys kind of are the two fantasy football guys in the group. Charles wants to chime in. Go for it, Charles. But Adam, you have the floor here. What's your take on fantasy football for 2024?
Sounds good. So I do this. I've been doing this the last couple of years, and people have this conception in the industry of, but that player finished as QB1 or RB4. I don't care what you finish as. I care about, and the biggest point I can say, so I consider this my fantasy football primer. If you're interested in the whole video, head over to twitch.tv/WXFan21. I've got mock drafts, and I talk strategy throughout the whole thing. I go over my thoughts. I go over what you should be doing. But basically, you're drafting for positional advantage. Not, I think they can finish as the wide receiver 1. Do you know what the biggest point of this is? Derrick Henry, several years ago, did shit throughout the regular season. 70% of his fantasy production came in 3 weeks that season. So I don't care where you finish. If you're not giving me a positional advantage week in and week out in redraft, best ball, you're shooting for ceiling. DraftKings Daily Fantasy, you're shooting for ceiling. In your redraft league, it is head-to-head, week-to-week. What is giving me the best positional advantage to defeat my opponent? For example, I was helping a friend the other night. He had pick 4. I said, okay. He goes, who the heck do you think we're going to go and see? I said, you're targeting Bijan, Hill or Lamb, or Hall. You get one of the 2 top wide receivers as a positional advantage. You get one of the top running backs as a positional advantage. When you loop back around, he ended up going with Bijan. So we went wide receiver, elite, and positional advantage. You have to think about, if I'm going up the guy against Travis Kelce, if my tight end is David Njoku, the other guy has the advantage 8 times out of 10. You need to be able to let the draft come to you. worry about positional advantages, and I'll give you a bonus one. This year, more than any other year, you want one of the top 5 tight ends. You want, ideally, Kincaid around the 5th, 6th round. He's going around round 5. McBride. If you like Laporta, go for Laporta. I'm fading Travis Kelce. I'm pretty much fading Laporta because I don't think Laporta is going to do that again. And then someone that's not being talked about is Mark Andrews, who's been completely overlooked throughout this entire process. So you're looking for that positional advantage. Let the draft come to you. Do not force players higher. My rankings that I give, that I use to people, I send a video with it. I said, just because I have Trey Benson as my RB22 does not mean I'm drafting him as RB22. You have to understand your league is number 3, and you have to understand ADP. If Trey Benson, on average draft position, let's just say sleeper, is going around round 10, I'm not drafting him in round 5 just because he's my RB22. But if I want to push him up to rounds 8 or 9 and the rest of my roster set, I get my RB22 at a massive value. So you have to be able to understand things. And we're coming up to one of the biggest draft weeks of the entire year. If you're playing, you need to be able, again, know your league, positional advantages, and again, look at your average draft position. Do not force anyone up a board. And for the love of God, don't stack and redraft. Please stop the crap. If you get a accidental stack, like again, my friend, we got Bijan 1, got Harrison 2, ended up getting Benson later, and he wanted Kyler. It was an accidental stack because they were the best players on the board that gave the advantage. It happens. Absolutely 4 stacks in best ball and stack in DFS. So, Charlie, please tell me if I'm wrong here, because I feel like the industry is way too focused about possible finishing position than they are. It's a week-to-week game.
I agree with a lot of what you said, and then some of that on the tail end, I disagree.
No, you're going to be all over your boy Richardson at the 101. I understand this.
Oh no, it's not even that. No, okay, so yeah, especially in the early rounds, looking for a positional advantage is a really, really good idea. A matter of fact, there's sometimes when it gets to round 3 and 4, and if I have the opportunity to maybe take the best quarterback and the best tight end, I'm going to do that because it's going to give me that positional advantage in both of those spots, which tight end is not a deep spot. So, I agree with you on some of that. I happen to love a good stack in season long.
That's what
you get a quarterback and a QB and a wide receiver, and then getting like a tight end can be a very good strategy in some cases. So like I disagree about that, but I love most of what you're saying, and I think especially where you called out the industry on Mark Andrews. I don't know why he is being so overlooked. This guy has been Mr. Reliable at tight end since he's been in the league. Like he is Lamar's go-to guy.
100%.
It is what it is. If Lamar's in trouble, that's who he looks for.
Yep.
And it pays off all the time, and it always pays off on fantasy. I don't know why we're not looking at him and saying he's top 3, because he is a top 3.
He's the number 1 receiving option in Baltimore.
And it's like, look, man, if he's there in the 5th round, 6th round, which I've seen happen,
we were drafting him in the 2nd last year. Remember, Charlie? He was way only in the 2nd last year.
Yeah. So I'm so with you, because there's great value in him this season.
Can I ask you guys about one guy that I'm really curious about, and I don't know where he's going and what his value is? Kyren Williams.
You can fade Keon Coleman.
Kyren Williams.
Oh,
way too high. He's going way too high this year.
Fade.
I am not on him at all.
I'm more fading Kyren now that I hear he's going to be doing stupid punt returns than
I have him in one lineup, and that's a dynasty. And I picked him up off of waivers last season. That's why I have him. So I'm going to roll with him. I've got
he's getting
some
picked
running
pretty high
backs,
then.
but I
He's
don't have a
ADP
lot of
Running
faith.
backs where he's getting picked.
Look, I think last season was just a one-off season for him. I like what Blake Corum.
Yes.
I really like that kid. If you listen to like some of the beat writers and stuff, there's a lot of praise for that kid. So and you've got the coach saying, "Oh, this is going to be our punt guy too." Look,
Yeah,
if you have
I
a
didn't know that.
workhorse back, you don't let
He's
him
not the
return
punt guy.
punts.
Yeah,
You
please
save
no.
him. You save him. And so it's going to be a two-headed monster, just like almost every other team is doing now.
So here's the thing. Kyron is going to be a true 3-down back. He'll get some third downs off for Corum. Corum showed no explosivity to me on film when I was watching him during draft season. But the biggest thing with Corum is he can read the field. You can read the field all you want in the NFL, right? If it helps, it helps. He's going to be Kyron's backup. Kyron, and see, this is where Charlie and I, getting back to our show from last year, we have a little bit of disagreements. I like Kyron as a player, but he's being drafted at his ceiling. He's being drafted for what he did last year, and he was an amazing pickup, waiver wire wonder, winner of leagues. You're drafting him in the second round. If he gets injured, you're screwed. You can't win your league at the draft, but you sure can lose it.
Absolutely.
Matthew Berry says
So-
this every year, I think.
Yeah, leagues are not won in the first round. They're not one in the draft. They're one on the waiver wires. But
Look, I got to ask you this question here though too. Looking at you guys keep talking about tight ends this year. My problem with that is this: I'm looking at your tight ends 1 through let's even say 16, because right now on ESPN, Dalton Schultz is going 16 tight end. From
Yeah,
positional
for sure.
advantage. So I'm looking at that and saying that I have a position of depth that if I can get Evan Ingram in the 10th, why do I care about Trey McBride in the 6th? Because to me, I'm looking at I can get another guy that's going to actually help my wide receivers, my flex position out. Why would I draft a tight end here who's going to be maybe a point a week better than my options in the 10th or 11th?
Because Schultz is now the 5th receiving option behind Joe Mixon.
there's a
You got
lot of
the
those
three wide
guys.
receivers, Mixon, and then Schultz.
A lot of the guys in that range, like Freiermuth is down there. Njoku is kind of in that range. Here's the thing about
Ferguson's
it.
there, Bowers, Goddard.
Their floors are worse. First off, their floor is worse. And I want my floor for my tight end, I want to be like 7-8 points. And
I think that's fair.
those guys are a bit under that, where the guys at the top are not. And I mean, if I'm looking tight ends, I'm looking in between where you're talking about this year. Anyhow, I'm looking at my Evan Ingram. I really love Ingram this year. Mark Andrews, since he's dropped, much lower than what he usually goes for. I like that area. You look at a guy like Njoku. Well, his best fantasy games were with a quarterback that's not even playing for that team anymore. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. There's not enough trust. I look at those guys, that's going to be my backup. That's what I look at. If I am in that range, if I hold off that long for a tight end, I may go 2 tight ends back to back and be done with it.
And see,
And I've done that several times where I come
Yeah.
away with Freiermuth and Njoku, and I'm cool
Yeah.
with that. And if I need to fix it later in the season on the waiver wires or with the trade, I'll do it.
Is
Because
But
Charlie,
I'd
say
rather
you draft-
rely on the floor.
Is
say
Fryer
you
with a
draft
sleeper this
4
year?
wide receivers, right?
Maybe
3 go off, 1 is just whatever. And now you have 4 wide receivers you can only, play 3 a week. You now have an extra trade depth to go, okay, I'll give you Lad McConkey, right? But say he's playing as a top
Bust.
20 wide receiver. I want Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid is, let's say, tight end 5. He's not living up to expectation. You can swing a trade later. Again, you have to think about where you're going towards the end, right?
To your point,
And
know
so
your league. There's definitely leagues I've been involved in that the guys don't want to trade, so I might as well.
I'm in the I'm in the Scott Fishbowl. It's 2 points. It's an extra point per reception. It's 2 points per reception for tight ends.
Their
It's-
setup this year is great.
You have to really take into consideration everything about your league's scoring system and roster setup.
The
If
other guy I
you're
want to ask
playing
about Jake
three
Ferguson.
wide receivers, I'm probably going one of the elite wide receivers first. I'm not going running back.
So, to your point, Kyle Pitts and Jake Ferguson are two other ones I'm looking at that are going
They're
later.
targets of mine. So here's the weird thing with Evan Ingram.
Ferguson's not bad.
Ferguson's going to be the number 2 option. Sorry, Brandon Cooks.
Yeah,
It's,
he is. You're
It's
right.
Lamb and Ferguson. So here's the
get
thing with Evan
opportunity.
Ingram. Evan Ingram is, yes, he had a wonderful year last year when there was just what Calvin Ridley, who was sorely misused, and then Christian Kirk, who was just a floor guy. Evan Ingram got a lot of targets. Great. Now you have Brian Thomas freaking Jr. Sorry for the swearing. He is one of my massive targets this year. He's one of my guys I'm highest on this year. I think he's going to absolutely go nuts. You have Gabe Davis now as a downfield threat. So you have 2 massive downfield threats, plus Christian Kirk in the slot, plus Travis Etienne in the backfield. Where were you going to fit in Evan Ingram? Is Evan Ingram
Now,
one of the
Ingram is
earlier
safety
options
blanket.
until Thomas and Davis get established? Maybe. I think Evan Ingram's a little trappy. He's not a fade for me. He's not a target. He's just, if he's there and if he's the best available and I need a tight end, then sure. But I'd much rather Pitts or Ferguson.
Oh,
It's hard to pass
No.
114 receptions last year. Even at 75% of that, he's still over 80 receptions this year.
here's
That's
the
where
thing with
Evan Ingram
Ingram.
Offense.
Sorry?
Positive touchdown regression. Positive touchdown regression. He only had like 4 TDs last season. He's going to have more than that. He's going to be the safety blanket. Ridley's gone. Thomas Jr. is not going to take all of those targets. And Gabe Davis is going to get hurt after 3 games probably. And
He
be
had
in-
like 17 touchdowns in college for
he'll
LSU.
be in and out for the whole season. Ingram is still going to get his share, but he's going to do more with it this season. 1 more year under the belt, a little bit more chemistry. They will use him more. Here's the thing. It's going to be a slightly different scheme, and you've got a scheme that's going to lean on a tight end or has in the past. So the opportunity is there. I think he's a great pick. But let me
Again,
say
I'm
this,
indifferent to
overall, when it comes to your draft, if you're like someone who has your draft plan, you're going to stick to it. Make sure you have draft plan 1, draft plan 2, draft plan 3, and draft plan all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Draft plan.
'Cause
Let the draft come to
It never
you.
works. Yeah, that's the one real thing that I would say going into this weekend, which is the biggest draft weekend of the season now. It used to be last weekend, but now it's this weekend because times are changing. But don't have a plan. Let the draft come to you.
Yep.
Get in there. Have your guys. Have your target. Write them down. Whatever. Have your target. Have your group of guys in each range that you really like. But don't go in and be like, I have to get this guy. I have to get this guy. And I have to get this guy. When your draft comes up, you have to take the best guy for your team and the best value right there.
Correct.
Like, you can't ever plan for who's going to drop and who's going to rise. So
I was talking to somebody
always let
last
the draft
night,
come to
Charlie. He was in it was a redraft league of his. I think it was a work league. Jamar Chase dropped to the 108. I'm full fading Jamar Chase this year. But if you mean to tell me that Jamar Chase is at the 108, that's value.
Yep.
Because Jamar Chase should be in the top 6. So there's value. And if a lot of the other guys are gone, that's value. And then I can take Chase and I can flip him. Right? Like, there are players that I really love this year. So far, I own Trey Benson and Xavier Legette in, I think, every single league.
Got Leggett in a lot. I do have Leggett in a lot.
Legette is going to be a freaking stud. And I love Trey Benson this year. He's my favorite rookie running back. Again, I'll give you guys a peek behind the curtain in my rankings. He's my RB22 right behind James Conner. Lad McConkey is my wide receiver 32. Brian Thomas Jr. is my wide receiver 33. And Xavier Legette's my wide receiver 47. The value you're going to get on those players and your ADP is going to be insane. And one of my biggest stands this year is Tank Dell. I freaking love Tank Dell.
No.
I think he is going to be the Houston Texans wide receiver you want to own by the end of the season.
I'm staying away from all of their wide receivers. All of them.
Charlie, you can't draft 3 Marvin Harrison Juniors. I know you want to. I want to. You can't do it.
You know what? I just traded the other night. I had like I think probably my last rookie draft that I could possibly have before the season starts. We did it late, but I traded a first and a couple of a running back. You're gonna for Marvin. Basically for Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well done.
New guy came into the league. He got the first pick of the draft. And man, I just started going after him. I love this time of the season. It's the best time of the season.
I mean, I told you, I
trades are the best.
accumulated so many first-round picks to try moving up for the 101 for Harrison in my dynasty leagues, and I couldn't get there. Matter of fact, I ended up trading 103 because I just wanted no part of a Doomsday because I don't believe in Caleb Williams as an NFL quarterback, but that's besides the point. I hope he does well. And funny fact, and I was telling Combsy this, he's actually a target of mine in fantasy. I just don't think he's going to be a good NFL quarterback.
There you go.
Makes no sense.
Freiermuth.
Love you anyway.
Freiermuth
Blake
Downs.
Bortles.
The 109 for this year and my second for next year for the first pick.
You got the 109 in the second next year for Marvin Harrison Jr. Can I come play in that league, please?
No, that's what I gave. I gave Freiermuth and Downs and my 109 in next year's second for the 101.
Can I come play in that league?
Right? Like this is the new guy. I know for a fact that he's from Minnesota.
Oh, that explains the whole time. That. Wow.
Charlie, you just triggered the 2 Green Bay guys. Now, before Aaron starts talking about
I'm
the
not
Queens.
going to say his name, but I know he's from Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly. Before Aaron starts talking about the Queens, anyone that owns J.J. McCarthy and wants to trade him to the Patriots, please, by all means, tell the Vikings.
Yeah, I tell you what, this is, you guys have talked about your strategies, and as we wrap up here, I'm going to tell you my strategy. It's draft as many Vikings as I can, as 49ers as I can, as many Chicago Bears as I can, because my players always get injured, and they always get injured for the season. So, that I never draft Packers. And I got that from my dad who, he played fantasy football, 30 years ago or whatever when it was first starting out. And his strategy was, I don't take Packers. I said one day, I was like, why don't you? Because I'd always help him out at the draft. I was like 12 years old. I'm like, why don't you take Packers? He goes, because they constantly get injured. My players always get injured, so I won't take any Packers. And I've adopted that. I don't know if I've just it's
Why
like
didn't you take Don
That
McCown?
was like me never wanting to draft Brady as a Patriots fan when I was just getting involved in sports, and I just thought he was this overhyped Pats guy. And then the more I became a football enthusiast of every team. I understood how good he really is.
Dad,
So,
nobody
I can
took Don
understand
Majkowski yet. Take him. He's available.
Let me ask the Packers guys before I got to get on out of here. What are you doing with the Packers wide receivers this year? Because it seems like Reed's locked in as the slot. Dobbs is locked in as one of the outside guys. And it seems like they're going to try Watson and probably rotate Wicks. Am I wrong in that?
You'll see Wicks in the slot some also. But as far as draft position goes, if you're drafting for fantasy purposes, go with Dobbs based on ADP because Reed's too high for me right now because it's still – I think he has a very high ceiling, yes, but his floor is very low to your same point before.
I
think Dobbs is probably the safest bet of the top 3 guys. Yeah. Wicks is worth a late-round flyer, but only if you have a deep league. I would rather see him do a little more. If you're in Dynasty, grab him. If you're just in a redraft league, Wicks is going to be that – he'll give you 3 good weeks this year, and then he'll do nothing for the other 14. So
you think Wicks can be the next Adams in that offense, the next elite wide receiver one?
No. Wicks is Charlie's next favorite tight end. I mean, Jordy Nelson.
Oh, my gosh.
But no, Wicks Wicks has what I would. He has something about him that feels like Donald Driver when he came in. I
Okay.
can't articulate
Oh,
why,
man.
but he feels like Donald Driver when he came in. So
he's more
a guy
driver
that
than Nelson.
in Dynasty, stash him. If you can get him, stash him because he's going to be good. But I mean, look, to me, I like Reed and Dobbs more than like Watson because Watson's hamstrings have not survived yet in the NFL.
That's fair. Watson's got freakish talent.
He does.
He does, but he just can't
also
stay healthy. I mean,
Yeah,
he just
exactly.
that's the biggest thing. If he can stay healthy for one season, then I might have to start having faith in him. But yeah, I mean, I would love to be wrong on that. But did you guys just
You see that pick?
You guys have the Colorado game on by chance?
You see that pick?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you see that?
That was insane.
Hey, by the way, Adam, that's your top 3 quarterback you're talking about in Stuart Sanders. Congratulations. Have fun.
Listen, I told you from what little I saw of Beck, I'd rather Beck than Sanders, but that's besides the point.
Hey, Adam, before you scoot, what's your opinion with Ayuk getting this big contract in San Francisco and not bolting for another team? Is he going up your wide receiver rankings or holding
Should
steady?
have been there 2 months ago.
Right.
They should have been done. There should have been never any drama. You just shut up and give him the money because he's the best damn wide receiver on your roster. Pearsall was not the answer. Debo's going to probably leave or retire. No, he's the best freaking wide receiver on your roster. I did have him as my wide receiver 11. I dropped him to wide receiver 18, and I'm going to stick with that. Let me tell you why. He hasn't practiced. The rest of the team has. It's going to take him weeks to get those soft tissues really, really warmed up, your hammies and everything else. I don't want to see any soft tissue injuries from him in the first part of the season, but to me, he's a bigger potential injury risk because he hasn't been practicing and warming up. But he still has elite talent. If you want to take him in the
Was that Dorsey 11?
3rd, 4th round, that's fine.
What was that, Ben?
Wasn't Dorsey Levens who held out and then didn't practice, and then they brought him in? Like he hurt himself in the first game, and he finally started trying to play. To Adam's point on, it's either Edgar or it was Dorsey. It was in that era.
Yeah,
I
I think
hope
it might
I'm
have
wrong.
been Dorsey. Yeah,
I hope I'm wrong, but like he hasn't been practicing. He just hasn't. Him, Lamb, I'm not too concerned about. Ayuk was causing way too much freaking drama. Also, Chase, shut the fuck up. You're on your rookie contract. It's not even extension season for you. Shut up.
Chase is going to play. He's going to play.
Of course,
And
he's
that's
gonna play,
Adam
but
from
again,
Boston, everyone.
Yeah.
So
him like Ayuk are holding in and are not practicing. If someone would have told me go run 3 miles and I'm not warmed up, I might be crawling by the end of it. No, I'm kidding. But that's my stuff. Again, I have a whole mock draft video on my Twitch channel where I go over best ball strategies. I go over redraft strategies. If you're interested, it's twitch.tv/WXFan21. I love this stuff. Football is an all year round process for me. And Troy, I'm still so sorry you have Keon Coleman as your actual wide receiver. I'm sorry. I feel for you. We have Drake May as our quarterback. I feel for you.
I don't know what to say. I agree with you.
I know you and I were like, really? Why? So if you ever want to piss off Troy, just say Keon Coleman. I'm kidding. All right, guys. You all have a good night. Have a good show. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, Adam.
You're welcome.
Thanks, bud. All right, so yeah, sorry, and then we had to end on that note there with Troy. And are you going to be okay for the rest of the show or not?
Oh yeah, I'm fine.
You seem a little distraught after.
No. I think Keon can be a good number 2. And I think the expectations, everybody thinks he's going to be the number 1, but I think he can be a good number 2. I just don't think they have the number 1 on the roster right now. And maybe they're never going to have a number
Keon
1.
Coleman number 2, like a deuce?
No.
That turd, perhaps?
No. Like,
Curtis Samuel is the most talented receiver they have.
Agreed. I think he's the number 1 receiver. He's not the number 1 target on that team, though.
Right.
It's going to be the combo with the tight ends, I think.
It could be.
I think they're going to switch him in and out more than other people. Like, I'm staying away from them in fantasy for sure because I think it's going to be more of a share. I don't think Dalton Kincaid's just come in there and is taking that job. Dawson Knox is a damn good tight end too. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see Dalton Kincaid as a guy who's outplaying Knox. Knox has had a couple of injury problems, but
Knox
they're
is the better
pretty
blocker.
equal.
Knox is the better blocker. Kincaid is
I
definitely the
agree.
better receiver. So I do think you're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets, but I don't think it's going to be a traditional 2 tight end set. I think you're going to see a lot of them either drop back into what's the word I'm looking for? Like when they line up back in the backfield. What am I looking for here?
Running backs.
Yeah, running back, but like a flanker
Fullback?
almost
Oh,
like a
sure.
flank. Like you know what I mean? Like kind of just off the line behind the either that or I could see either of
Like a
those tight ends.
makeshift guard.
Either of those tight ends could be slot receivers as well, too. So, I like what they can do with that lineup. They have a lot of different options, but yeah, I don't think Keon. I think people expected you got rid of Diggs, Coleman comes in, everybody thinks right away, oh well, Coleman's the number 1 receiver, but I don't think that's what they're thinking, and I don't think he ever will be a number 1 receiver. But I think he's a damn good number 2 option because if you're ever in trouble, that guy's got such a big frame and such big hands. You give him a chance, and probably 70% of the time he's coming down with that ball.
Yeah. I think you're right though. Probably a lot of 12 man.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just with the lineup that they have, that just seems like the route that you would go that would be more successful. And if Curtis Samuel can stay healthy, that he's a very very
Like the
reliable.
And the thing I like about him
when he's healthy.
And the thing about Samuel too is that guy can line up in the backfield just as well. So
Yep.
Yeah.
And they said they're going to use him that way too.
Use some
you're gonna
gadget
see
plays.
The Bills deploying almost like a Patriots-esque system when they had Hernandez and Gronk, where you really can have those 2 tight ends who can go out there, catch the ball, block, or whatever. And I'm not calling them Gronks, but I'm saying that Kincaid and Knox are both good.
Yeah.
I'm not calling them murderers either, but I'm saying that they are both good tight ends that you can put out there with Curtis Samuel and the wide receiver set and be okay.
yeah, you have a lot of different formations you can do with those guys. A lot. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Now
Bills are
Colorado's
fine.
getting down in the red zone again. See if they can throw another pick.
Yeah. that pick looked an awful lot like last night. I had a game in our Dads with Bacon college football 25. That was brutal. I mean, I don't know if the rest of you. I know Troy saw it because
it looked like a lot like the Malcolm Butler interception.
It did. It felt like that too. It was that heartbreaking. But I was expecting to get blown out by this guy by like 35 points, and the fact that I was even in it, I was actually impressed with myself. But anyway, okay. So since we're already talking about the NFL, let's.
Okay.
I was gonna start with college and then go to the NFL, but let's just kind of flip that around. So I thought what we could do, like I mentioned before the show, since normally during the summertime we've been doing one division each week. Let's just kind of do a quick summary of what our thoughts are for like playoff predictions, maybe some players to watch, that kind of thing. We don't have to go division by division necessarily, but well, you know what? Scrap that. Let's do that. Let's go division by division real quick, though. Let's do kind of a rapid fire kind of thing. So, Ben, we'll start with you. Give me your thoughts again on the NFC East and who do you think is going to win that division?
Yeah, the NFC East sucks, and it's not even me being against them. It's a bad division. So, the Eagles win this division, but it's because everyone else stinks too. I'm saying it's a race to 11 wins. 11 wins takes the division this year, easily, maybe even 10. I look at this, and the Cowboys are, to me, they're just not deep enough. The Eagles are deep, and it's a tough spot for me there. The Commanders are still trying to figure out their young team. They're going to be better than they were. They could sneak up there and surprise everybody, but I wouldn't bet on it. And the Giants really suck. So I think you're going to see Daniel Jones get just short of jetted out of New York mid-season because no one wants to watch him play anymore. So it's going to be
when you talk about that division and you mentioned the Cowboys. I just got to say I saw the funniest meme yesterday, and I put it on my regular Facebook profile, but I don't know if anyone saw it because right now I'm on Zuckerberg's probation because apparently I said something back in 2023 that offended him, and so now I'm like suspended for like until Monday or something like that. So I don't really know who sees my stuff, but it was somebody. It was from a football group that I'm in. It was a Cowboys fan, and he showed their starting starting quarterback with the receivers and the running back, and this was after they signed Dalvin Cook, and he was like. The meme was something about our offense is going to be unstoppable. And I was like, you Dallas Cowboy fans are some of the most just delusional fans. People rip on Packer fans sometimes, but my God, if you think that the backfield of Ezekiel Elliott and Dalvin Cook, two guys who haven't really had an impact on a team in like 2 seasons, is going to be like this murderer's row of running backs, you're out of your mind. I don't really know what the guy was saying, but I had to throw that out there because if people have a chance to see that, there were so many laugh emojis on that response. But why don't we go, Troy? Why don't we go to you real quick? And what are your thoughts on the NFC East? Like I said,
well, it's kind of interesting we're doing this because just 2 nights ago we did a podcast with Stay Tuned with Troy and Howie and did our football picks. So
nice.
Out of the NFC East, what I have here is I have kind of the same. I don't totally agree with Ben, but I'm pretty close. I do have the Eagles at 12-5, and I have them winning that division with 12 wins. But I think the Cowboys are still going to be okay. I still think they got a really good defense that's going to carry them a lot, and they have just enough weapons on offense to be dangerous. Dak is like he's a very good regular season quarterback. Yet he hasn't done anything in the playoffs yet, but he's a very good regular season quarterback. And I think they're going to be okay there. So I still have them sneaking in as the 7 seed. But then Washington, they still need to build. And I think they'll be better. I think they'll be right around 500, just a little bit below. But yeah, the Giants suck. They really, really suck.
Ben, to go back to you, do you think the Cowboys are going to sneak in as a wild card also, or you think the Eagles are the only team that's going to be in the playoffs from that division?
Yeah, I am going to be – I'll take the criticism for this one. I think the Cowboys miss the playoffs this year, and McCarthy loses his job.
Nice.
Not because of lack of talent there. I think that what we see from McCarthy as a Packers fan.
I got to ask it. Is that when Belichick comes in?
I was just going to say that, Troy.
I was actually going that direction, believe it or not. That's where I want to go.
Can you see him taking orders from Jerry, or can you see Jerry swallowing his pride and backing off and letting Belichick take the reins?
I see Jerry having a heart attack when the Cowboys keep sucking, and then his son takes over. So I'm joking, and yes. God protect him, please.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Is it kind of like the Mark Davis taking over for Al Davis out in with the Raiders kind of thing?
Yeah, with his horrible haircut. All right, Steve. What are your thoughts on the NFC East? Like I said, give me the division winner, and then let me know if you think any of them are making the wild card too. Because I'm writing this stuff down. We're gonna keep that.
Okay. The Eagles, the only team get.
I'll lose this piece of paper sometime in the next 3 months.
We have it on tape. We're recording this, so we know where it is.
That's right.
If you remember to hit the record button this time, Aaron.
Yeah.
So the Eagles are the only team coming out of this division. Not to say, as we're all saying, that the Cowboys and the Giants are not competent teams. I think the problem they've got. I'm looking at the Cowboys, for example. They're going to play week 5 at Pittsburgh and then week 6 against Detroit. I think one of those two, unfortunately, is going to be an L for them. And it comes down to easy games versus tough games. And I think that the Eagles just, I'm going with the Eagles. But here's my thing. The Giants are going to be the team to look to the future for. I know we're all, griping on them this year, but I think, and it's on tape, 2025, I think that while the rest of the division is trying to figure itself out, because I don't think the Eagles and the Cowboys are going to be as good a shape, and I still don't think the Commanders are going to be back in playoff contention by next year. But I think the Giants next year, they've got to use this year to their advantage. And even if they don't get the win totals in the playoff that I'm sure striving for, Daniel Jones, this could be a development year for him, and this could prove very fortuitous for them going into the 2025 season. So Eagles get out of the division. Nobody else does. Sorry, Cowboys
All right.
fans.
I'm going
Charles,
to
how about you?
disagree. I'm going to
Oh.
disagree real quick. I'm going to just jump
Wait a
on that
second,
real quick
Alvin
because
Daniel Jones,
I-
he's 27 years old.
yeah, that's exactly where I was going. Not only that, but if they have as bad as a season as I think they're going to have, like Jones is gone, and so is Dable. So I don't know
Mhm.
how you think they both survive a bad season this year.
I didn't say it's a bad season. I said it's a mid-tier season. I think it's a if they can see positives in this season. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. I'm as I said, they're not making the playoffs, but I don't think I think the Commanders are going to be the dumpster fire of the division. And I think that may save the Giants if they can win enough games outside of their division and even inside of the division.
All
Interesting.
right, Charles, how about you?
I'm just curious why you see Daniel Jones being developmental in the 6th year in the NFL.
Yeah, there have been quarterbacks that have gone longer in this league that have suddenly
He's always going
blossomed.
to be. He's always
I'm
gonna
just-
be
Geno
so
Smith's
I'm-
the second for the rule.
Hey, we make our takes on this show, and I'll throw some out.
Rich Gannon.
Go for it.
All right, Charles,
Oh,
how about
look,
you?
I'm
Daniel
not
Jones
even.
is going to be a Raider next season.
I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. So go ahead.
Go ahead,
All right.
Charles. We're sorry for interrupting you.
No, it's all good. It's all good, Ben. No, you're not. It's all good.
Screw you, Charlie. I like him. Oh.
So I'm gonna be look. I have Dallas and the Eagles both winning 11 games this season. And
Okay.
Dallas is going to come away with the tiebreaker, and I think they both end up in the playoffs. I think they're going to have a
Can I
good.
say something real quick before you say that? Because this totally got overlooked the whole time we were talking. That would be the first time in 24 years that there's been a back-to-back division winner in that division.
Right.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
but I also think that look, Washington's not going to make the playoffs or anything like that. But as training camp and everything is come and gone. I really could see them being around a 500 team, maybe a little under or a little over, right at a 500 team though. So I think that's an offense. I don't like the trade that they made to the Eagles. I love it for the Eagles. Now they have, God, just such a great wide receiver room. But I don't like it for Washington. But I think that they're ones to watch. That they're going to be a fun team. And then of course the Giants are just absolutely going to suck. They may win 3 games. They might. I mean, look, a blind dog finds a bone every now and then. Okay, so they're going to get a few, but it's going to be just because. Wow.
High expectations there.
No, look, that is there's some really good wide receivers on that team. Okay. They let one of the best running backs in the league, really, when he's healthy, just pretty much walk. They're a mess. They really are. Their quarterback is terrible. He is a really good backup and a really, really, really horrible starter. So, but that's all right. I'm telling you guys, he's going to be a Raider next year. That's going to happen. They love terrible starters in Vegas. That is the
I was going to say,
so.
our friend Chris
That's where he's
Mosley-
going.
our
That's
friend
where
Chris
bad
Mosley, who's been on the show
starters go to
before,
get worse.
I'll have to ask him what he thinks of that prediction, that if he wants Daniel Jones as his quarterback. All right, Charles, let's start with you then. We'll go backwards. NFC South is the next division that we're going to do. So division winners and anybody that you think.
I'll tell you, 3 weeks ago, my answers to this division would be completely different. But now I think that the Falcons are pretty much a lock to win this division. The moves that they've made, especially on defense, the trades and whatnot, they're building something. And this is a really, really weak division. So they could dominate most of their division games, home and away. I can really see that happening, which is going to give them an advantage. Not to mention, just in general, I mean, they have a good quarterback. They have a great running back. They have possibly a great tight end. We're yet to really, really see that, other than like some glimpses, but it might be true. they do have a really, really good wide receiver. They have a couple of good wide receivers now, actually. So they're sneakily putting together a really good team on paper. And I think a good team on paper is enough to win this division for sure. But they may actually be somewhat of a force, if not this season, in the next season or two. I could actually see the Falcons winning a playoff game. But I think, Atlanta, Tampa Bay kind of hangs in there a little bit, a little bit more Baker magic maybe. Maybe he'll start making some good commercials again or something. They'll have something go right. And then, New Orleans, they're just kind of in limbo right now, so I don't really see them being much of a contender at this point. I mean, they just haven't really done much to get better. Like in the offseason, they just kind of had a very ho-hum offseason when it's all said and done. Their running back terms is pretty much ancient. His knees have got to be decrepit at this point. And the guy that they have to replace him can't stay healthy to even practice. So there's no faith there for me in New Orleans. They have one great offensive weapon, and that's about it. And then Carolina's just going to Carolina.
Disagree, by the way.
Do what?
That's Falcon hate, buddy. That's Falcon hate. Atlanta hates New Orleans so much, you'll overlook the obvious. When it's my turn.
All right, Steve, go ahead. What are your thoughts? I'm sorry, hold on. So, Charles, you just think the Falcons are going to win and then no wild card from that division, correct?
All right. So I'm really torn on this division after watching some preseason lowlights. I mean, Atlanta is the quote unquote wild card in this, but they're not going to be a wild card. I think that Tampa is going to eke out this division. I think that Atlanta's just got a couple more pieces of learning they've got to do for me to feel more comfortable in saying they're going to take this division. I think that, as we've said, I think that Baker's going to have some Baker magic. I think he's going to carry them in a couple games this season. So out of this division, it's going to be Tampa winning it, and that's it. There's no, just like the wild cards are not coming from either the East or the South, as you can tell from my predictions. Tampa's going to win their division, and there's going to be a couple close teams, but they're not going to make it. And it's going to be Atlanta and the New Orleans. They're going to be like right there. And then even with Deontay Johnson and Carolina now, they're just not going to do anything. It's going to be another wonderful season in the Carolinas.
Okay, Troy, how about you?
I got a 2-team race here, Atlanta and Tampa Bay. And I got Atlanta sneaking this one out 10-7 over Tampa Bay 9-8. But Atlanta will be the only team sneaking into the playoffs here. Tampa Bay will just miss out. And Carolina and New Orleans will be fighting for that number 1 seed for draft picks.
Oh, nice. For Green Bay. We're gonna get to watch them make the number 1 pick here at Lambeau Field. Nice. All right. Ben, how about you?
You're gonna hate me for this one, guys. But thank you so much. The Saints, who that is gonna take this division this year?
Oh my god!
And
wow.
So I'm gonna tell you what.
That coach isn't even gonna make it to the 5th game.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I feel like you're trying to replace TJ.
No.
Okay.
The Cardinals are way different than the Saints, guys. Don't kid yourself. There's a defense in New Orleans. So that's what I'm going to say right now. The Saints have an underrated. Now, look, you have Cam Jordan, Peyton Turner, Chase Young, and Carl Granderson at the defensive end positions. That's a pass rush to be reckoned with. I can't say his last name to Brian Bresee, whatever the hell it's supposed to be, is playing as a backup as well in that interior line. This is a good defensive front. This is a talented – you're not going to run against these guys. So that it's going to take – Bijan's going to have some bad weeks. Don't start Bijan on New Orleans weeks. Spoiler alert for your fantasy enthusiasts. But looking at the offense, people want to forget about this, but they have a legitimate offensive line. It's what I think 3 out of the 5 are first-round picks, and they deserve it. And on top of this, you're looking at Rashid Shaheed, A.T. Perry, and Chris Olave with still having Jamal Williams and Kamara at the running back positions. Carr had a bad year last year, but New Orleans supports their team, win, lose, or draw. They just want to go and drink, have a good time. New Orleans is going to be a hard team to beat, especially in New Orleans. They always are. Like it or hate it, it's reality. Tampa Bay is not going to be good this year. They're just not. It's that the defense is taking too many steps back. They lost too many guys on that side of the ball. I think that you still have Baker Mayfield doing well. He still has 2 elite wide receivers there, even if they are old and decrepit. But they're not going to be good enough to carry that team. The Panthers still stuck. The Falcons, though, are my first wild card I'm going to say tonight. The Falcons are legitimate. They could beat the Saints for the division. The Falcons are good. Make no mistake. This is a good team.
Mm-hmm.
And Kirk Cousins was that pushing point over the top to take them where they're going to be as a legit playoff contender. Drake London will finally matter again. Kyle Pitts, I know Charlie hates Florida, but he will be an elite tight end this year. And you go through all this, and yeah, you're a Georgia guy. Don't kid yourself. You and I both know you got your Bulldog shirt on underneath that thing. So look, at the end of the day,
Go.
I'm saying right now that the Saints will be I'll call it my shocker division pick, with the Falcons close behind on their heels. So that's where I'm going.
Who-
Right.
Who do they have at quarterback?
They did.
Yeah, who do they have?
Derek Carr.
Carr.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
Derek Carr.
Do you want
They
to
have Chris Olave. That's
do you want to
all they have.
reconsider?
Not at all. And look, you guys want? I'll take all the bets. You 4 can place all the bets you want with me. I will bet on the Saints for the division right now. Hat bet, no problem. I'm in.
I'd half rather have Russell Wilson than Derek Carr.
Oh,
What are we betting? I will take this bet. Falcons
All right.
over the Saints for that division.
We're betting
What are we
the hat
betting?
of the winner's choice. The loser buys didn't sense to the winner. I'm betting the Saints for the division this year over the Falcons.
Falcons are going to be in the Shador Sanders draft.
All right, I'll take that bet. I'll take
All
that
right.
bet.
Not the
You guys
Falcons,
heard
the
it here
Saints. I mean,
first.
the Saints. The Saints are going to be looking at Shador Sanders.
No, we're good, man. I'm good.
All right. Okay, so let's go to the Troy. We'll start with you since you haven't started any of these yet. NFC North. What are your thoughts?
NFC North. What do I got here? Let me pull up my slip here. I got a division tie here. The Pack and the Lions at 12-5, with the Pack getting the tie break, and the Bears coming in at 8-9, just under 500, with the Vikings at 4-13. The Pack getting that 3 seed, and the Lions getting the 5 seed. So that's what I got there in the North.
Okay, Steve. What are your thoughts on the North?
oh, it's going to be I'm so jealous of you guys who have residency in the North and will get a lot of these games. Disclaimer, not a plug. I do subscribe to Sunday Ticket because this is going to be the division to watch this year. And I'm psyched. I mean, the Lions are going to do phenomenal. The Packers, go Pack, go. I think it's going to be a 2-team horse race coming into the finish. I think the Lions are going to squeak it out. We'll get to that later, where the Lions are headed, because sorry, Packers fans, you're not going to make it to all the way to the promised land this year. But here's the thing that I think is the question mark. How can the Bears do? They got a chance. I don't think they're going to be swimming in the I think they're going to be holding their own water in the deep end of the pool this year. So I think the Bears could make it as the 7 seed into the playoffs. I think
So
this division
you're calling the Bear. You're calling 2 wild card teams from this division.
correct.
Okay. All right.
Correct. Lions are going to. I think the Lions are going to contend for the number 1 seed. And I think it's going to be a very good year for Dan Campbell's team. But the Packers, I think if you guys can stay healthy, I'm speaking, of course, of our Wisconsin friends, it's going to be a really fun team to watch, especially, I mean, looking at the schedule here. I mean, it's week 15 against Seattle, week 16 against that team from New Orleans that some guy seems to be really excited about this year on this panel. And then here's the fun one.
45-7, that one.
They go to Minnesota and play in a dome in week 17. It's not that frozen tundra of Lambeau Field deciding playoff seedings, but the Pack could to take that to their advantage, and then they go to Week 18. They go to Soldier Field, and that could be deciding playoff seedings. And if the Bears make the playoffs, let's put that on paper now.
Well, we already know what's going to happen there because the Pack have won 70 straight against the Bears.
Yeah.
This is going to be this looks like it's going to be a strange
Pretty-
season in the NFL in a lot of places, though. So,
Yeah.
Lions got the division, as I said. Pack are going to be hot on their tail. They'll be in as a wild card, and I think the Bears squeak in as the 7 seed, and so you get 3 teams out of this division for the playoffs.
Okay, Charles, how about you?
All right, so I like Detroit to win this division, but I agree. I think Green Bay is right behind them. I think they're going to be a wild card team. Chicago, man, I'm not a big fan of Caleb Williams. I don't want to be a dick about it. I'm not a big fan of Caleb Williams as a person.
Just be a dick about it.
But yeah, I don't like that dude.
What's
I don't
up,
like
Stoppy
that
now,
dude, but
buddy?
there is some talent there. There is some talent there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he just seems like he's kind of too much of a pansy to be in the NFL. That's really what I think about it a little bit. I just think he's gonna get his just block knocked right off, and want to quit and cry and go home to mommy. But there's some talent there, and I really like the offensive weapons that they've put around him. I would feel good about most quarterbacks in that position with that tight end and those 3 wide receivers.
You know what?
And
And
there
I'm
could
glad,
be some success to build on.
and I'm glad you said that because I don't know where I said this in our chat or something like that. But somebody well, Caleb Williams looked pretty good. He looked pretty good. Well, no shit. Look at the freaking skill players they finally gave him. Justin
Right?
Fields would have looked just as good in this freaking offense with those players.
Yeah,
Yep.
for real.
Well,
So-
Minnesota's going to suck. But they
True.
don't have,
Yeah,
just
true.
they don't have, their starting quarterback is done already.
Yeah.
You hate
yeah.
that you can't even morale's got to be not great there. I mean, they're
it's a
not
shame.
going to be like 3 games, winning, but they're going to be under 500 for sure. Deep under 500
Charlie?
probably.
That'll be awesome.
Why do the Vikings wear purple?
I don't know, but I'm sure I'm going to love this answer.
Well, if you're choking for 50 years, you'd be purple too.
Oh.
Okay. On that note,
You
Ben,
know what
how
I've
about
always
you?
wanted to know is why does a team that doesn't run in I formation at all, trade for a running back who is only an absolute stud in I formation? That's what I want to know.
Because our coaches evolve, sir. Matt LaFleur is a revolutionary man from Michigan. We forgive him for that. And he's going to take care of Josh Jacobs and this entire offense. But no, look, in all
I'm talking about
seriousness,
Minnesota and Herschel Walker.
no, look, in all seriousness, I'm going to say this. The Packers do finish second in the division this year. And that's coming from a fan. I'm telling you that right now. We finished behind the Lions. The Lions are that good. This is a good team that has done the right things through the draft and for age to make their team where they are now. It's close. Don't get me wrong. The Packers will secure that top wild card seed pretty early on. It's going to be very evident. So I think we're looking at this, and I don't have the Bears in the playoffs. And I think that Caleb Williams still has a good year, by the way, by Bears standards. It doesn't take much. So he'll have a good year by Bears standards.
4,000
And
passing.
again, with these weapons, Keenan Allen, I mean, we talked about Mike Evans or Chris Godwin having the wheels falling off. Keenan Allen looked terrible against the Packers last year as a Charger. I mean, the guy, I've liked Keenan Allen for a long time. I drafted him most years. Not this year, buddy. I'm telling you right now, that scares the crap out of me. DJ Moore, I'm excited to see how they use him. But the Bears still suck, and that's not even my Packer fandom coming out. They still suck. The defense is legit. That Bears defense
Sneaky
is
good.
legit. So if you're looking
Sneaky
at it from a fantasy perspective, they will keep games close. But until they've figured out a way to actually cultivate their quarterback talent correctly, they're going to keep struggling. And the Vikings are an awful fighting with the Giants for the number 1 pick in the draft. And I will be there when the Vikings pick number 1 overall, laughing my tail off in Green Bay, about a mile down the road from me, and just booing the absolute living hell out of them. So yeah, this is a 2-team race, but the Lions win it.
Okay. That was Troy's getting down over there, man.
How about the Super Bowl shuffle, huh?
By the way, fun little rumor for the Packers going back to '96. Jim McMahon allegedly claimed he had to play in the Super Bowl, or else he was not going to show up to the ceremonies for the wherever else when he was with the Packers in '96 and Brett Favre. Anyway, Jim McMahon's a pansy. It's a trend in Bears quarterbacks. Jim Miller on Sirius XM, come at me, bro, is also a homer and can't even see past his nose to realize what's actually in the football world.
Jim Miller. What a legend.
Follow up for you, boys. And Jim Harbaugh is cursed going forward because now he's won his championship he finally gets with Michigan, but he's going to the desolate wasteland of LA. So have fun, sucker.
All right, let's start NFC West. Charles hasn't started yet for us, so let's Charles, we'll start with you. What are your thoughts on NFC West?
I thought I started the South. All right, the West.
Stop complaining.
I mean, this is San Francisco's division to lose. I mean, they're the best team in the league. I mean, unless it just all falls to hell and all of their guys get injured, and with their roster, that is actually in the realm of possibilities. That when it's all said and done, the only piece of that offense still standing is their quarterback. But they got a lot of injury-prone guys. They really do. But it's San Francisco's division to lose. I think they're gonna take it. They're looking to get back to that, get that Super Bowl. They're on. That's a team on a mission. Ayuk is signed. They can put all that to rest, and they're gonna do it. And they're gonna get. I want to say San Francisco gets 12 plus wins this season. Maybe 13. I'm on the fence about one game, but I really, you know what? I'll say it, 13. I think that they win 13 games. Arizona is going to be a much better team this year, and they're going to continue, I think, on a path to where they may be in contention in this division here in a season or two. I see them as a 500. Right around 500, maybe I really want to give them like 9 wins. Like I really like their offense, the way that if they use these guys right that they've got on offense with those weapons at wide receiver and at tight end, Trey Benson's going to have to prove himself. Their running back room is a little bit suspect, but if you've got Kyler Murray, I mean, they're a team that could somehow. If somehow they just kind of sneak their way into a wild card somehow, it really, I wouldn't be shocked about it. It could all go right for Arizona. That's just the way I see it. They don't have the greatest defense, but they've made some improvements on defense as well. So they're a growing team. Seattle, I actually think, is going to be pretty much in shambles. But the Rams will probably, just because of talent-wise, if their quarterback stays healthy, be right there, I think, with Arizona. And I think that they'll take second and probably no wild card coming from this division. But just telling you, just something in the back of my mind, it wouldn't surprise me if Arizona got a wild card somehow. But so San Francisco killing it with 13 wins. The Rams, then Arizona and Seattle, I think it's just going to be a mess.
Okay. Steve, what are your thoughts?
Well, if you had talked to me this morning, I'd probably have leaned more towards the Rams taking this division and the Niners sneaking in as a wild card. But I think putting the Ayuk thing to bed, even though, as we discussed, he is going to need a little bit of time to warm up, but you're not going to see him sitting on the sidelines for very long and not wanting to be able to show off his new large contract for all of the fantasy owners and also all of the San Francisco 49er fans. So I think the Niners, they're not going to get 13. I think they're going to get 12. But they're going to do well this year in this division. The Rams I was impressed with the Rams in the preseason, seeing what they were putting together. So I think they're solidly in as a wild card. But I think it's going to be teams like Chicago, as we discussed, that are going to prevent Arizona from getting a wild card. So I think Chicago is going to be the team that actually keeps Arizona from getting into the playoffs. But I think Arizona is a team on the rise, and they're doing it the right way. To look at fantasy rankings and to see James Conner, who used to play in Pittsburgh, he used to play at the University of Pittsburgh and for the Steelers, ranked higher than Najee Harris in running back rankings, blows my mind. But it shows you that he found a home and he's performing well. And the Cardinals, they were to the Super Bowl and the Steelers beat them. But I think in a couple of years, Arizona could be knocking on the door of another run at the Super Bowl if this trajectory continues. So got the 49ers taking the division. Rams will get in as a wild card. Cardinals will just miss out. And Seattle, they're just, it's going to be a sad season in the Pacific Northwest.
It really is.
All right, Troy, how about you?
Okay. The Niners are going to win this division by 2 games. They're going to be 14-3. They're going to wrap up that number
14.
one.
Whoa.
Yep. They're going to wrap up that number 1 seed.
Wow.
And the Rams will be the number 2 seed. They'll be 12-5. I like what they have going there. They're a sneaky, really good team. Everybody thought Stafford was washed up 3 years ago. The dude still got it. He's still good. And I know we were talking about Kyron Williams earlier, fantasy value-wise, but I think real-life value-wise, this guy's going to be a stud. He's going to carry the rock for them. He's going to be amazing this year. And I have him on my list of possible offensive player of the year. I don't know what you guys are seeing with Arizona. Kyler Murray sucks ass. I'll just say it. He's Lamar Jr. He sucks. 5-12 for the Cardinals,
Yes,
and I do see the Cardinals taking a step back. I think Geno Smith finally comes back down to earth, but I don't think it's going to be horrible. I see them just under 500 at 8-9.
Okay, Ben.
I want y'all are smoking because, look, the only thing I can agree on, the Niners growing with this division, but the Rams are going to suck terribly this year.
Whoa.
They might.
The Rams are going to be a top 10 pick in the draft.
Wow.
And the Ernest Jones trade is one example of why. This defense is not good. It's young. The 2 best players are from Florida State, and they just lost Georgia Tech, so forget them. Look, in all seriousness,
Well, that's why they lost, because they lost these 2 players.
I don't like the defense. I don't like the Rams in general. I think that this is I think what all the criticism that you gave for the Saints before, I think are that much worse here. But it's just you have Kupp and Nacua, and nobody who really impresses me that much. I think Blake Corum will rise, but not enough to carry this team where they need to be competitive. So I have the Rams finishing in dead last in this division.
Okay. All right.
Go all you want, man. Look, the Seahawks are a wild card. I think Sam Howell goes Kirk Cousins on this. But you like that?
Whoa.
Ben, what the hell are you drinking tonight?
You guys were saying my Giants in 25 was crazy. What is this, Ben?
Look, I'm telling you right now, the Seahawks still have, in my opinion, a team that actually has the pieces that can hold up and do better than people. They are my last wild card team, but they are a wild card team for me. And part of this is looking at when you have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba as your top 3 wide receivers, you can play almost anybody you want at quarterback, and they're going to do okay. Geno Smith has been serviceable, but I think Sam Howell comes in and does even better. There's a better O-line here than people give him credit for also. I like Charles Cross, Laken Tomlinson, Connor Williams, and Abraham Lucas, but that's me. The defense, though, is where I think people have really forgotten. Leonard Williams, Jonathan Hankins, Jaron Reed, that's a good D-line to begin with, and that secondary is no joke. Reek Woolen is a bad, bad man, and he is going to take a lot of balls away this year if they'll ever throw his direction. Going further than that, their safeties with Julian Love and Rayshawn Jenkins, they have, again, what I would say is it's not the Legion of Boom, but this is a different version of a good defense that is all they need in this division right now. So the Rams will be bad. The Cardinals will be serviceable. The Niners are going to smoke everybody. And then you see the Seahawks slipping in that 7th seed just based on what they can do in general. So I'm not thrilled to cheer for the Seahawks. It's called for the Seahawks here, but I think that's what I'm predicting here. Looking at this overall roster, there's more people give credit for. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, let's go to let's keep going here with the AFC now. Ben, we'll start with you. AFC East thoughts.
Yeah, so the AFC East is a little bit more predictable, I think, overall. The Patriots and the Jets will both miss the playoffs pretty easily. People want to pick the Jets because they want to pick Aaron Rodgers, but he doesn't have what he had in Green Bay there, and he's older, and he's all those other things. So the Jets are going to be, again, a good defense, but the offense is going to be better, but it's not good enough. The Bills and Dolphins are both playoff teams, and it's literally a coin flip who wins the division this year to me. They're both very, very good. They're two of the best in the league, in my opinion. And I think that Tua takes his next step to being a star quarterback this year. And look, the guy gained the right weight, and he's playing well enough, and he has the receivers to do it with. So I think there's enough there where Devin Achane comes in. He does his thing, big plays in the running back position. And they still have a nasty, nasty defense that got hurt late in the year. Don't forget that, which caused their early exit from the playoffs. So the Dolphins are stellar, and I think that the Bills' offense will be better than people expect. And I think that they've gone down the right road to create this. Keon Coleman may not be everyone's favorite, but he's going to be serviceable at the very least. And even beyond that, you have two very good tight ends, in my opinion, an elite running back in James Cook, and one of the best quarterbacks in the game right now. So that's going to make for a very good season.
He's overrated.
All right, so you're saying Dolphins win, but Bills are in the wild card.
Yeah, it's a coin flip. If I push from the show, I'll say the Dolphins this year, yes.
Okay. Troy, how about you?
I agree a lot with what Ben said here, to be honest. I mean, maybe it's my homerism coming in here a little bit, but I have the Bills at 11-6 and the Dolphins at 10-7. So I do have the Bills still taking this division. But the Jets just miss out right around 500, 9-8. And the Patriots are going to be hunting. I have them with only 3 wins this year. And I love to say that. Let me just say that. I mean, yeah, so I agree with a lot of what Ben said here, to be honest. I think the Jets will be better because Rodgers will be better than what Zach Wilson or whoever the hell else they had last year was. But it's still not going to be good enough. Their O-line keeps getting overlooked, and their O-line is a problem. It's a big problem. And the Dolphins will be better. The thing that I'm really – they moved on from Fangio as defensive coordinator, and they also didn't Chubb and Phillips both got injured last year. How well are they going to jump back right away this year? That's a little concerning to me. So I think that's kind of where they might get off to a slow start and kind of fall behind. But I think they're going to make a run at the end and give the Bills a run. But I think the Bills still sneak this out. But I have the Bills sneaking in as the 2 seed and the Dolphins as the 6 seed.
Okay, before we go to Steve here, I want to ask both, and obviously Charles and Steve, you guys can chime in too. But you two both said the Jets were going to have a better year, but obviously still missed the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Is Rodgers back next year as their quarterback then, or do they move on?
No, he's not back next year. If they don't
drafted somebody, or what are they doing?
I don't think he's back either way. Let's put it that way.
You don't think so?
I think he's back when if they win. I don't know if I mean, they're going to make it into the playoffs for sure. So he may come back if they get close,
Yeah.
but I don't know, man. If he gets hurt, he's definitely done.
Yeah, that injury last year killed him because I think we'd be thinking differently if we'd seen a full resume of work from last season and he had performed well.
Sure.
To say he had a great year last year, he's got a great momentum coming into this year, but we're all sitting here with question marks saying, where are we headed? We head to another first game injury, or are we going to get a full season out of him? That's the Aaron Rodgers of Green Bay. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, Steve, what are your thoughts on the division?
Buffalo. I've been a Josh Allen fan. He's been my number one pick in my fantasy draft for years. And even though they've made some retooling up there, as other folks have said, they've got to get over the hump in the playoffs. It's not the issue of making the playoffs. It's the issue of getting over the hump. And let's see what happens. I got one game circled on my calendar right out of the gate, and it's week 2. Buffalo goes to Miami. And I think it's going to be a test for McDermott. I think Mike McDaniel is going to have some fun with them. And I think it's a chance to see how the teams stack up against each other, because they're going to play each other in week 2. And then they play at Buffalo in week 9. And that's going to be it till possibly they run into each other in the playoffs. So, and then that's the other thing too, is that I have a take coming up in a couple divisions where Miami may not make the playoffs based on what I'm going to say about one of the other divisions. So I got Buffalo in, Miami Jets, based on what I'm going to say about everything else. Miami Jets are not going to make it. Miami by the skin of their teeth, the Jets by a game or two, and the Patriots, well, let's have some fun this year watching how low they can go.
Yeah, Steve, you brought up a good point there too, and I think the other thing Buffalo has going for them at the end of the year then is if that is tight between Miami and Buffalo at the end of the year, the last 3 games Buffalo have are New England, the Jets, New England.
At New England.
So, I mean, that's nice to have 2 New England games there at the end of the season.
Part 2 of that is the teams they play right before that. If you look back to 13, 14, and 15, they are tough. At they host San Francisco. They are at the Rams. They are at the Lions. Talk about a chance to get some playoff medal if you can pull off a couple wins there. And then depending on how New England and the Jets records are, you could have 3 cupcakes and possibly be sitting Josh Allen for week 18 and possibly week 17, depending on your record.
And you didn't even mention the week before San Francisco is their bye week, but coming off that bye week is Kansas City before that. So, So, that's quite a stretch of teams right there.
All right, Charles, how about you?
All right, so I'm looking at this division completely different.
You have New England winning it.
Than you guys. Except for New England. No. New England's going to have 1 fucking win. That's it. The Jets, however, are going to have 11 more wins than the Patriots are.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
This is Aaron Rodgers' last hurrah, and he knows it. They have set him up. They are one of the best, if not the best, defense in the league. They have studs on defense. They have a great defensive scheme for those studs. I love them on defense. And I feel like they've given Aaron Rodgers what he needs. They have one of the best, if not the best, running back in the league. They are set up and primed to win now, and they are going to do it. Miami's going to be right behind them. 11 wins. Go to the wild card. Buffalo, however, with 10 wins is not going to make it to the playoffs.
10 wins doesn't get in.
Nope, because there's going to be several teams with 11.
Damn.
Okay. I'm telling you right now, the North's got 2 coming out of them for sure.
Okay.
It's 2. So, I mean, it's just...
Charles, why don't you start us out with AFC South? That's the next division up here.
Oh, yeah. This is it. Anthony Richardson, he about to take the Colts to greatness while nobody's looking. It's gonna be amazing. Gonna be amazing. I want to go get my 99 jersey on right now. Ready, man. No, the Colts are gonna win this division. And yeah, I am as biased as you could be. I've got a freaking
At least
Colts
you admitted it.
tattoo on my leg. But
At least you
they're
admitted
going to win. Everybody is sleeping on AR. Everybody is sleeping on our wide receivers. Everybody's sleeping on our defense. You know what? We'll do the damn thing without any corners. It's okay because we got Kenny Moore. All right? He's like 2 safeties in 1. All right? It's going to be great. We have the best defensive player coming out of the draft, and we're going to put him with what are 2 of just line him up right next to 2 of the best defensive players already in the league. But Defoe is going to shine. He makes other players great. They're being slept on. They're going to win the division. But that's all right because it's not going to take a whole lot to win the AFC South. I am down on Houston. There's too many cooks, man. Too many cooks spoil the soup. They really do. All right? And that wide receiver room, and they got some divas, and Stroud is going to have a sophomore slump. They're not going to be as good as people think they're going to be. I really don't. Jacksonville, they're going to be in second place.
That's everybody sleeping on the Colts,
and the Jags, and the Jags, and it's going to come down to the last game that the Colts and the Jags play, and whoever wins is going to the playoffs, and that's going to be Indy. Jacksonville's going to be right behind them. There's not going to be any wild cards coming out of this because the Colts are probably going to take this division with 9 wins. In Tennessee, they're going to be fighting for that number 1 draft pick. They won't be able to take it. They're going to get at least 3 wins. They won't be able to take it from the Pats, but they're going to be down there at the bottom.
Hey, Charlie, quick question for you. What shape is a football? Are you sure you know?
Yes, I know what shape of football is.
All right, Steve, go.
Homer.
Don't forget, with the backup, the Colts were 1 game out of the playoffs. All they had to do, the Colts were 1 play out of the playoffs last year over Houston.
Doesn't matter if you lose by an inch or a mile. Any driver, any racer, any true racer knows. Anyway, go ahead.
Bumping is racing.
Okay, Steve, let's go.
I think, I totally disagree with the divas and the slump and everything. I think this is Houston. They're not going to pull away with it, Houston's year, but it's not going to be this Colts versus Texans. The Texans are going to win this division. The Colts are not going to make the playoffs by the hair of another team that is going to be just on the outside looking in. But I think, I don't know. I just, once again, preseason is preseason. And sometimes, as a Pittsburgh fan will attest, you see a beautiful preseason that then turns into a total destruction of a season. But the snaps that I saw that Stroud played in the preseason, I was impressed with what he was doing. And so I got the Texans taking this division. The Colts just not making the playoffs. Jacksonville will be a little bit behind, and Tennessee will be, once again, they got a new stadium coming. We can all look forward to that.
All right,
like
Troy.
a few years.
No, I too believe that there's too much talent on Houston to overlook these guys. I got them coming in at 12-5 as the 2 seed. As the 3 seed. As a 3 seed. And Jacksonville coming in second, 9-8. Let's get over the Trevor Lawrence hype. I mean, this guy, I don't know if we're getting to that segment or not, but he's on my list. Colts coming up just short of 500 at 8-9, and the Titans fighting with the Patriots for that number 1 pick.
Okay.
So bad.
Ben, how about you?
Well, I'm going to go off that again here, guys. So go ahead and get your booze ready.
Titans winning the division. Here we go.
Jackson. He's got Duval, I think.
Yep.
You're right. I do. I've got the Jags taking this division.
Oh.
So what you're going to see here is
everybody's
Trevor
sleeping
Lawrence.
on Jacksonville. Here we go.
Trevor Lawrence is going to live up to the hype. He's got the best group, in my opinion, he's had yet down there. And the Texans will be a wild card team on this division, but the Colts will be right there. But they're good. Unlike Charlie's point, they're going to lose their playoff spot to with the Jags beating them in Week 18.
It's gonna come down to it. I'm telling you.
So, but no, the Colts are good. The Titans are better than people think they are, but they're not good. So the Titans are still going to be a bad team. They're top 10 pick next year. No, I've got Duval taking this division right now with the Texans as the final wild card in the AFC.
Ben, you got to stop coming on here drunk.
I wish I was drunk, man.
All right, Troy, let's start with you with the AFC North.
AFC North. Okay, here we go. This will be fun. Okay. I got 3 wild cards. Or I got 3 playoff teams out of this division. I got regular season Lamar winning the division at 12-5. The Bengals tying them 12-5. So I guess whatever scenario I used here, the Ravens get the tiebreaker over them. Bengals at 12-5 also sitting in the number 5 seed. And the Browns sneaking in as the 7 seed at 9-8. And finally, Mike Tomlin does not have a 500 record, finishes 8-9.
But now he just signed that extension, didn't he, last year?
He did, and I think he'll be fine. I don't think they're going to move on from him, but I think they'll see enough of Russell Wilson to say, see you later, pal.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Can't stand the Born Again.
Go
version.
Bisons. Touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, nice. All right, Steve, how about you?
This is a fun division because once again, 0-3 in the preseason, and I was very skeptical of where I was going to put the Steelers. I'm actually putting them 3rd in the division, but here is my hot take of this whole segment. This entire division makes the playoffs in my predictions.
Wow.
You got the Bengals coming in as the division champ, but then you've got everybody within a game of each other. I got the Bengals in 11-6. I got the Ravens in the 2 slot at 10-7. I got the Steelers in the 3 slot at 10-7. And I got the Browns coming in at 9-8. And they are going to be the team that's going to keep teams like the Dolphins and a couple other teams and the Colts out of the playoffs. So if you want the hot take on tape that come January, you're going to be seeing AFC North top down will make the playoffs.
Nice. Okay, Charles, how about you?
Man, that's a lot of teams from one division going to the playoffs, man. That's I just can't even fathom it, really. I almost can, though, because I could see 3 teams from this division in the playoffs. I think, man, Baltimore and Cincinnati are both just really, really strong teams. They're both really healthy teams now. I almost want to flip a coin. I really do. But since my boy Deidrin is on the Ravens, I'm gonna give them the edge. I'm gonna give them the division win. And I think they're going to be up there, and Cincinnati's going to be up there. Both teams could possibly have like 13, 14 wins. But I do think that the Ravens are going to have 13 wins, and I'm going to give Cincinnati 12. Cleveland, if Deshaun can get it back together and beat a quarterback that at one point in time he really was, and he's had enough time where all the BS and stuff is over with for the most part, and all, like, just get out of your own head, keep your shoulder healthy, and do the thing. I could see them also making, the playoffs as a wild card. It's not hard for me to see how the Browns, if they get good quarterback play with their team, and especially with their defense, could win 11 games.
Okay.
And then,
Go
Pittsburgh,
ahead.
I agree with Troy.
All you and sleep on the Steelers. That's fine.
No, I agree with Troy. I think they go under 500 this season. I really do.
When they make the playoffs, I'll prove you all wrong at the end of the year.
They're not going to make the playoffs. It's
Too
too strong
guys.
for that team to make the division.
Charles,
Hey,
just to clarify, you think the Browns are
water from Flint, Michigan, or what's the deal here, bud? You okay? So no, look, the Steelers are last in this division, and they're missing the playoffs. This is going to be I'm going to hop on Troy's bandwagon here, saying it's their first sub 500 season for Tomlin. It's going to happen. And the reason is an old coach thing. If you think you have two quarterbacks, you've got none. And so right now you're going to see Pittsburgh come through this. And when TJ Watt gets hurt, because it is when, not if, and when they can't figure out how to use a quarterback position, the Steelers will falter, stumble, and fall to the balanced division. The Browns are the hardest team to not put in the playoffs for me, but they do miss, in my opinion, with the Bengals and the Ravens being to – Charlie, we actually agree on this one tonight, buddy. It's a coin flip here, but I do have the Ravens taking this one based on the head-to-head matchups. The Ravens are darn good. They're darn good. So it's going to be hard to avoid the Ravens taking care of business this year with the Bengals and a Slim Shady at quarterback doing his business in Cincinnati.
Hey, did y'all see this sleeper? I don't know how much fantasy you guys have played on sleeper.
Yeah.
but pay attention because they've been doing this for years. Like last year, Swift was Kelsey's picture for the second half of the season.
Yep.
So, did y'all see it? They put Eminem's photo in his spot?
Yeah, because he was a discounted bet for week 1. So it was Eminem there for weeks. It's funny.
Yeah.
You know, I will say this. I became an Eminem fan again because I liked him at first, and then I kind of got cold on him. And then when they showed that picture at the NFC Championship game, I don't know if you saw this. I think it went viral, but he was giving the 2-finger salute to all the Niners fans because they were all harassing him when he was up in his box, up in his skybox. And I was like, that's beautiful. I love that guy. I love that guy again. Anyway. All right. So now we go to the AFC West, finish it up here. Then we'll do the conference championship games, Super Bowl predictions, and then we'll finish up tonight with we may have to do a preview for college football next week because we're running long. But I do want to get maybe as our 4 minutes on high for each of us, we could do our top overrated quarterbacks. Because I know, like I said, I hyped it up to Troy here. I wanted to get his take on that whole thing. So, all right, Steve, let's start with you with the AFC West.
It's the Chiefs' division and nobody else's division. I think the Chargers are going to perform this year, but I think Harbaugh needs a year to get it all sorted out and figured out in LA. I mean, I don't think they're going to be a horrible team, but I think they're just going to miss the playoffs. The Raiders, let's see what quarterbacks in Las Vegas for 300 is on this Jeopardy board this year. I mean, they play the Steelers in week 6, and honestly, I hate to say this, but I think the Raiders may win that game. I know. But it's just one of those things where I was out in Vegas Super Bowl week, and what a freaking beautiful stadium they've got. And it's just horrible that it's like they just can't figure out how to put all the pieces together to get back to the Raider tradition the way it used to be. Because man, oh man, that would be so much fun to see the Raiders in the playoffs and see that place packed, probably with more visiting fans than Raiders fans, but Chiefs got this division.
I don't know. The Raiders fans travel awfully well. I mean, those. Yeah. I mean, it's only like 3 hours from LA to Las Vegas. So I think
even the Bay Area folks can come in too.
Yeah, exactly. So I think they'd actually get a pretty good turnout. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Aaron, feel free to jump in. Chiefs take it. Chargers just miss out. Raiders have a respectable season. I don't think they're going to make 500, but I think they'll show promise because I think there is promise in Las Vegas, and Denver just, I don't know. No, I don't have. If you have nothing good to say about somebody, don't say anything, and that's where we are at the Broncos this year.
All right, Charles, how about you?
All right. As my grandma would have so eloquently put it. This division's so poor they ain't got a pot to piss in. The Chiefs are going to do their thing. The Chiefs are going to sweep this division. I'm not sure if they've done that yet. They always, I think, find a way to lose. So like either Denver or the Raiders, like once a season. But they are going to sweep this division. It's going to be ugly for the rest of us. I mean, this is just a stack of trash right now. These teams are in so much disarray and in such rebuild mode that, I mean, you're bringing on. You got one coach in Denver who's been there. He's got one season under his belt with that team. Your other guys, you got a coach that's got a few games under his belt, and that's it. And then you're bringing in a guy who hasn't been in the NFL for a while now. But so there's a lot of moving parts they got to settle for the teams on the bottom of this. It will not surprise me at all if neither the Chargers, Vegas, or Denver get past 6 wins. That won't surprise me. I think that the Chargers will. I do have a lot of faith in their coach. I actually really like Justin Herbert a lot as a quarterback. And with Harbaugh coming in, he's going to take a lot of pressure off of Herbert, which I think will make him a better quarterback in the long run. They got to figure out who they're going to throw it to. But I could see them maybe, at best being at, 8 or 9 games, if they kind of luck themselves into it. But I really think that they are sitting at 6 wins on the season, and both Denver and Vegas under that, fighting for that first pick in next year, because God knows they all need a quarterback.
Okay, Ben, how about you?
I'm going to go ahead and say this. For once, I have nothing to add to this conversation. You've already said it all. The Chiefs have got this division. There's nothing more to say.
All right, Troy, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, let's move on. 13-4, number 1 seed, Kansas City Chiefs. Raiders 6-11, Chargers 6-11, Broncos 4-13.
All right. Okay. So let's start back with Ben. What's your prediction? NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I think we somehow sneak into a Lions-Packers championship game here.
Really? Okay.
So, what this comes into is the Lions take care of the 49ers for us in some event. I don't know how it could happen. I have this weird feeling about it, I guess. So, I don't know. It goes against my own picks I made before because I take the Packers win the division, not the Lions. But I think there's a chance that the Lions take care of the Niners, and the Packers take care of the rest of their business, and we see the Packers-Lions championship game with the Packers winning because it's the Lions, and they just can't help themselves at that point.
Okay. Troy, how about you?
Boy, it sounds boring to say because we've seen it a couple times over the last few years, but I think it's San Francisco and Philadelphia again. I really do. And I guess, am I picking my winner here or not yet? Okay.
Yep.
I got San Francisco taking it over Philly this year.
Okay. Charles.
So I think it's going to end up being Detroit and San Francisco. And this is it. This is when it happens. The Lions are going to win that game.
Okay.
It's going to be one for the ages.
Repeat, Charles. Lions, Niners, Lions take it.
Okay. Wow. All right. So let's go to let's start with Troy with the AFC.
You missed Steve.
No, I got Steve.
He got Steve.
You got me. You got me as a
You said-
repeat,
you said-
Charles.
You said the same as Charles. Yep. So.
Oh, sorry.
Troy, how about- yep.
I got a rematch from a couple years ago. I got Cincinnati and Kansas City, and I got Cincinnati taking it again. So Cincinnati, San Francisco Super Bowl matchup for the 3rd time.
Oh, okay. Nice. All right, Steve.
It's finally going to be Buffalo's year. I got Buffalo. I got Buffalo over the Bengals in the
You made me
AFC
choke.
Championship.
All right, Charles, how about you?
I got Baltimore and the Jets. Baltimore's going to win.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. And Ben.
I got Ravens Dolphins.
Okay.
With the Ravens winning it.
Of course you would, you homer.
Hey, if you're gonna hate them, so add me up for all your hatred.
Ravens, this guy's two favorite teams in the Super Bowl.
Okay. So,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely. I'm lucky.
Right. Charles, who do you have for? Let's see. You had the Ravens and the Lions. Who's winning it?
I think that the Ravens are going to take this one. I think they're getting their next Super Bowl ring this season.
Okay.
I'd love to see the Lions do it. It'd be
Yeah.
just great, man. I mean, the whole country. Most of us are going to party if that happens, but
Right.
you know, I think that the Ravens are going to do it. They've just got a really good team. They got a solid defense, a really good offense. They have a really good quarterback, despite what Troy says. So I think they're going to do it.
Running back.
Okay. Steve.
Oh, they got one of the best running backs. Oh.
Lamar Jackson.
My support of anything AFC North related ends once the Super Bowl happens, and the Lions are gonna. Even though I have the Bills going in, but the Lions are gonna. They're gonna get their ring finally. Dan Campbell's gonna get his ring finally.
Okay, Troy. How about you?
Same result for the first two Super Bowls. San Francisco over Cincinnati. San Francisco is your Super Bowl champions. But I got a question for you Packer fans, real quick.
Oh, Niners. Okay. All right.
If the Lions, as you know, Steve says, and Charles has them going, are you guys rooting for them? I know you're division rivals and such, but they've been the lovable losers for so long. Are you guys rooting for them?
Any team but the Ravens, yes, I am. If they're playing anyone but the Ravens, I'm cheering for the Lions if they're there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
I would.
I didn't know how you guys would feel about that.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, no, and you know, it's funny. My dad used to always say, he'd always tell me to, you know, we always cheer for the NFC, whatever NFC. Even if the Bears went to the Super Bowl, he cheered for the. Well, actually, he wouldn't cheer for the Bears. He would cheer for the AFC team to lose. Is how he would say it to me. He wouldn't say, "I want the Bears to win." He'd be like, "I want," you know, when they played the Colts with was it Rex Grossman was he the starter? Yeah.
Oh, it was a great game.
Yeah, he wanted the Colts to lose, not the Bears to win. The Colts. And when I tried to explain to him that, Dad, really, it's the same thing. No, it's not, Aaron. No, it's not. I want the Bears. I want the Colts. Whatever. Okay, so, but and that pretty much holds true unless it's the Niners or the Vikings. I especially the Vikings. I would consider cheering for the Bears. I don't know how Ben feels about that, but I would consider cheering for the Bears. Lions for sure, just because, like you said, I mean, they're they've been the lovable losers forever, and you know, it's like even if they win one, you still gotta win 12 more to catch the Packers. So I'm not like worried about unseating us or anything like that. So anyway, Ben, who so you have the Ravens and the Lions? Is that
Packers,
Ravens?
By the way, Bears fans got their win when the Cubs got a World Series, so screw them. I'm good. I don't want to hear that state's collective cheer ever again. Anyway, I have the Ravens beating the Packers Super Bowl, and that's just. I think that this has been our team's bane is mobile quarterbacks. Yes, quarterback Troy will take over that game. Derrick Henry being the next part that takes us over as well, and that defense being stifling. So I think this is where the Ravens break my son's heart, and he starts to hate his mother's home state. So it's because this will also potentially be in the backside of the Orioles beating the Brewers in the World Series if I'm lucky. So it's just there will be pure hatred. Wow. My son will go to Darth Vader out of hatred for Maryland. So it's bound to happen this year. I'm waiting.
Nice. All right. So since we've gone way over, let's like I said, we can always do college football next week. But again, I mentioned earlier in the show, and I had talked to Troy about it earlier in the week with the poll coming out for of the NFL player survey that I can't remember who did it. If it was ESPN that did it or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. And
Josh Allen being named the number one most overrated quarterback in the league. So why don't, instead of doing, unless any of you have like a something that you're really fired up about that you want to do your own 4 minutes on high, that's fine. Otherwise, why don't we just do, give me your take, first of all, is if you think Josh Allen is overrated, and number two, who would be like your top three most overrated? We'll start with Troy, since it's his guy there.
All right. So, I mean, obviously,
I shouldn't say that. I think we all can predict who Troy thinks is the most overrated quarterback, but I'll let you say.
Well, you'll find out. You'll find out.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, this guy, Josh Allen, we're speaking of, has 23 more touchdowns than any other player since 2020. All right, he has a 21-4 touchdown to interception ratio in the playoffs, a 100 passer rating, which is fifth in NFL history. He has the lowest interception percentage in the playoffs at 1.1%. He has a 64.6% completion percentage, which is sixth in NFL history in the playoffs. Second career quarterback rush yards in the playoffs, also with 6 touchdowns in there. Let's just add on there, he had a 16-yard receiving touchdown. Wins, let's go with wins, right? Let's talk about wins. Wins, I don't think should be a quarterback stat. Let's talk about wins, all right? He's 5-1 in the playoffs against everyone that isn't named Mahomes or Burrow. All right. He's 63-31 since his rookie season, and that's including an abysmal rookie season. But let's throw out the rookie season because he had dog shit for players. 58-24 since then. All right. How can you say this guy's overrated? Like, I just don't understand it at all. It's totally mind-boggling to me that you could say this guy's overrated. Buffalo was nothing before he got there. Absolutely nothing. Yep. And this guy has them in relevance every year. Like, what are we talking about here? Because he can't beat Mahomes or Burrow in the playoffs, and like any of that's his fault? What is going on here? It's absolutely ridiculous. It's jealousy, it's envy, and I'll even agree with LeBron James here because I don't know if you've seen what he tweeted after that or Instagram post or whatever he had. I don't know, but he's like, I guarantee you, when teams are playing the Buffalo Bills that week, he's the first person that they're looking at that's on their what's the word I'm looking for? Game planning for. Yeah. Like, come on, what are we talking about here? It's dog shit, is what it is. It's absolute dog shit. And I'm trying not to be biased there at all. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. None. I think they're strictly looking at he didn't take them to the Super Bowl yet, and that's all they're thinking of. But meanwhile, they're not taking into consideration he's done everything in the playoffs they've asked of him. It's his defense has let him down in the playoffs. So,
yeah. So
who are your? So my top five. So I got Tua. I got Tua as Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, Russell Wilson, and Patrick Mahomes. No, I'm just kidding. And then I got Lamar. I got Lamar there as well.
Yeah, Lamar. Okay, yeah, it's kind of who I figured. Yeah. Okay,
so
Ben, what were your thoughts on it, and who are your overrated quarterbacks?
So quick call out here. North Carolina's quarterback Max Johnson went down with a bad knee injury. It looks like so. Hope that turns out okay for him.
Thanks.
But as far as Josh Allen's not overrated. The guy, if anything, is underrated by a lot of people in terms of what he brings to the game. The guy, I've seen the development of his career when he came out of Wyoming, and he had a bad case of the Brett Favre's throwing picks at bad times, and he's gotten past that to where Troy gave you the stats in the playoffs. The guy's dang good, and I mean, if you ask me, hey, trade Jordan Love, Josh Allen straight up, I'm saying yes every time. And I like Jordan Love, but that's just looking at my team and how I view things. So as far as who's overrated, we talked about before, as a large man, 6'7", 300 plus pounds, I get really sick of these skinny, cocky, mother you-know-whats in the skill positions at wide receiver and cornerback. So to me, I look at this and I really do go towards that position for more what's really overrated. I think that in general, I think that Jamar Chase is kind of in that category for me right now. He's extremely good. He is still a top 10 receiver in the league, don't get me wrong, but he's still overrated, and he overrates himself, and that's why you see the situation he's in right now. I look beyond that to I think Brock Purdy has fallen in this category for me a little bit, where people want to crown Mr. Irrelevant as being Mr. Elite, and he's not elite, guys. He's very good. He is, in my opinion, right now, a little above a Joe Flacco line as far as quarterbacks in general, looking in the full catalog of things. Very good. But he's not Joe Montana. Back it up a little bit. And then I'll go with Deron Bland is my third one right now. The guy got some picks early in the season last year. People want to blow him up. And they've got this huge opinion of the guy. No one knew who this dude was week 2 last year, and now everyone wants to talk about the guy as being a great cornerback. The guy is nothing. Deron Bland will be an afterthought in 2 years. So I'm saying that if I'm looking at this, I'll go with Bland, and with reluctantly putting Jamar Chase in there. So yeah.
Okay. Charles, how about you? What were your thoughts on Allen, and who are your overrated players?
So, all right. So I didn't like actually physically like see that list or read, about it or anything. But I guess from what you guys saying, like it was a pretty small sample size of players or whatever that, contributed to that list. So, I mean, I can't imagine that throughout the NFL, the majority of players would think that Josh Allen is an overrated quarterback. He's a very, very good quarterback. They just haven't been able to put a complete team around him, like yet. That's like their downfall. It's they move pieces, but there's always a hole somewhere. It seems like on that team where another team excels, and they just kind of, as a team lose in the playoffs. So, Josh Allen, he's a great quarterback. He just, needs better supporting cast to excel. And you can say that for a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, you're playing against the best of the best. So you got to have the right weapons when you go into battle. Well, as far as overrated players, Ben, I have to agree with you on one, because I think that Brock Purdy is a very overrated quarterback. He was the last dude picked in the draft for a reason. There's a reason that everybody thought, that for, him coming up through the ranks and everything in college and stuff. Yeah, he's all right quarterback. He's got some talent, but he's not. Brock Purdy is not why the 49ers are successful. They have one of the best coaching minds in the NFL, and they have an absolute stud at running back. Their defense is absolutely insane. The best offense is a good defense, and they've got a great wide receiving core, and which would be even better if their tight end could stay healthy, because he's a top 4 tight end in the league when he's healthy. Very talented guy, very talented offensive weapons around Brock Purdy. Very, very good coaching scheme for Brock Purdy. It's not Brock. Brock's just standing there throwing the ball. All he's doing is going through the motions, and he's set up for success. So to me, he's pretty overrated. Here, I'm going to say this. I'm going to throw one out there that is not currently playing, but is still always being talked about. Tom Brady was fucking overrated. Okay.
Wow.
He's overrated. He had the best he had coaches win games. He had the best coach. You could have put any quarterback onto that Patriots team, and they would have had great success.
Damn.
Any quarterback that it was efficient. Alex Smith could have had the same amount of success with that coach and those players as Tom Brady.
Even though Brady went on to a different coach and won a Super Bowl.
That was just dumb luck.
No, I will say that Super Bowl that he won in Tampa, I mean, you can make an argument that if it wasn't for his defense, they wouldn't have even made it. I mean, he threw in the NFC Championship game, he threw 3 picks on 3 straight possessions in the second half against the Packers, and the Packers couldn't do a damn thing against their defense.
Dude, there's
So,
something fishy
you know.
about all of his Super Bowl wins, just about.
Yeah.
Majority of them marred in scandal or murder or other things. I mean,
All right.
it's just
Yeah, but you
It's
can
just
say
the
the
way
same
it
thing
is.
about the guy coaching the team.
I look, I can't stand Bill Belichick, but that guy had, for that time, the way that the game was played in that time period, because the game has changed a good bit over the last few years. That guy could scheme for any team.
See, I
Bill
think
Belichick.
I think he will go down as probably one of the greatest defensive minds in the history of coaching.
Seriously.
But his, offensively, I mean, and that's usually the way most head coaches are. I mean, it seems like every head coach has a specialty. It's not like they're geniuses on both sides of the ball. It's usually, like LaFleur is an offensive guy, so he needs somebody to be defense. And McDermott remind me, Troy, did he come in as a
DC.
Yeah,
He was a DC
So-
from Philly and Carolina.
Yeah. So I mean, you every coach has that where it's like they're either more geared toward offense or defense. I feel, and Belichick definitely was more defense than
Except for John Harbaugh, right?
yeah. Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, how about you?
He got hired as a special teams coordinator.
All right.
Let me say one thing real quick. Just want to throw this out there. Props to the parents of the kids on the Florida team that won the Little League World Series.
Lake Mary,
Y'all raising
Florida.
the kids right. Absolutely awesome to see a team from the Southeast region take the whole thing. I absolutely love it. But the way that those kids went to that opposing team, that's a cruel, terrible way to lose a championship, not covering first base on a bunt. I mean, that's just terrible. And for them kids on the Florida team to console them other kids like that right there on the field and just feel their pain because they know that win was given to them. Props to the parents of all the kids on that team because y'all raising them right.
Yep, good call.
All right, Steve. What are your
All right,
thoughts here on the overrated issue?
I'm going to talk very quickly about that because my formats on high was planned out before this show. But
Okay. Yeah,
overrated
go for
quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson is number one for me by an absolute mile. I can't.
Not if he's in the massage parlor.
And Trevor Lawrence has worn out his welcome, in my opinion. He is now just, I don't know what he's getting by on, but I think he just the pretty factor's gone with him. Let's talk about a couple other things. Number one, Tom Brady possibly taking an ownership interest in the Raiders. And I don't know if you guys saw the amount of restrictions that we placed on him as a broadcaster if this happens.
Yep.
He can't go in team meetings. He can't criticize officials and other teams on the air. He can't do all of this stuff. He can't talk about players in a way that might intone that the Raiders are interested in trading for them or signing them. What is he going to be able to do on the air? He is not going to be able to do anything because he's going to be so hamstrung by the league policies. I get it, Tom. You want to do this, but you want to do so many other things. What do you want to do? Do you want to be a broadcaster? Do you want to go back in the league? What do you want to do? Pick something and do it. Because Greg Olson is just, he got screwed because of your big contract.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best booths that did a Super Bowl gets broken up because we got to have big shot Tom. Sorry, I'm going to say it. Big shot Tom Brady in this number one booth. And I hope that it flames out in glory this season and Greg Olson gets back to where he deserves to be. Couple other things to wrap up. Colorado did pull it out barely. So yay.
Against a D2 school.
Yay, Dion, you made it. How about to start the evening, though, with a little bit of action? Do you guys see Justin Pegues of Bowling Green, 100-yard kickoff return? unbelievable. If you have not seen it, watch it. It was some action.
I was too busy watching my Buffalo Bulls when we get over Lafayette. So.
Off Lafayette. Actually, after this, I'm going to watch San Jose State and Sacramento State on True TV because we have college football back on whatever they're calling the Turner networks these days. We've got a lot of college football there, including football playoff games.
It's damn true.
Yep. It's on True TV where you have to go to find some of those NCAA playoff games. And I'm going to wrap up with what I wanted to talk about last week, which has been just burning me since then. The NFL. We want technology. We want this game to be more efficient, to go faster, to not have to worry about running a chain gang out on the field to measure a first down. And then it takes you 3.5 minutes in a preseason game to get your technology to work. And the guy was still short. So why are we messing with a good thing? Yes, technology does a lot, but in a stadium, in a blizzard, I mean, I can only imagine in Lambeau Field, below zero, how are those cameras going to work? How are they going to be able to sense the ball and the line markers when there's a blizzard going on at Lambeau Field? It's just not going to work. But yet they're hell-bent on making it happen because Sony's their new technology partner starting in 2025, and Sony now owns Hawkeye, so they want to make this happen. But when it takes you 3.5 minutes to figure something out that a bunch of guys running out with chains, and heck, Gene Steratore sticking an index card in to measure the first down takes a lot faster than that. Let's let other things be electronically dealt with. Let's leave the first down alone and let the humans control the way that runs.
All right. Well, I think it's about time we need
to wrap it up. But before we do, Bacon, you did not. I mean, we're not going to go through all the divisions and stuff like that. But what do you got in your championships and your Super Bowl?
I'll probably let's see. I'm going to go with Bengals and the Lions. And I'm cheering or picking with my heart here over my head. I'm going to say the Lions over the Bengals in the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's
battle of the Pats.
I mean, I would love obviously the Packers, but I think it might be one more year away. They might be one more year to really develop. But I think, the Lions just seem to have gotten better over the offseason. So, so since we're over though, I will save one of the things I definitely want to talk about is Anthony Edwards' comments this past week about the old players in the NBA. And, but again, we could, honestly, I could talk for like a half hour about that because it pissed me off. And I realize it's a stupid kid basically saying, running his mouth because, hey, it's the NBA offseason. I have nothing better to do. But the lack of respect that comment had. And I'm tired of hearing that, these players are bigger, faster, and stronger. Well, no shit they are. You see the facilities they have, the resources they have, the supplements they have, everything else they have. No shit you're going to be bigger, faster, stronger. It doesn't make you a better basketball player than Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. I can go down the line, and whatever. Anyway.
He was right about one thing, though. He was, and that's the fact that Jordan, his comment saying that Jordan was the only, I don't even know how he said it, the only athlete or whatever. But his comment by saying that only proves the point of how much better Jordan was than the rest of the competition during that era. And I just don't like the fact that he was so disrespectful to, like, the guys like you said. The Clyde Drexlers, the Dominique Wilkins, the Larry Birds, the Magic Johnsons, all those guys like that. Like, I don't understand how he can just look over Oscar Robertson. That guy was a freaking animal. I freaking love Oscar Robertson. That guy was amazing.
What bothers me too about this whole thing, I know I said we got to wrap it up. But what bothers me about this whole thing, and then we will actually wrap it up, is
this is a Midwest goodbye, folks. If you didn't know, this is a Midwest goodbye.
Yes, is if we're gonna have this discussion where we're comparing across generations of players, then you have to have some kind of logical parameters around it where you say, okay, well, is Anthony Edwards competing in the 80s, or are these guys competing now? Because if they're competing now, Patrick Ewing, Shaq, Hakeem Olajuwon, they're all going to be bigger, faster, and stronger now than they were back then because of the same things we just mentioned: the facilities, the resources, the supplements, everything that these guys use nowadays to make themselves bigger, faster, and stronger is going to be available to those guys. And if those guys care about winning as much now as they did back when they played, they're going to do whatever they can to make themselves better. It's just and at that point, then you're looking at the mindset. And to me, players nowadays don't have the same mindset they had. And this is going to sound like the old man yelling at the clouds, but to me, it's just true. Like, you didn't hear, Michael Jordan, all those guys. There was no such thing as load management back then. Unless you were hurt, you played the game. And I really, and you can tell me all you want. Well, yeah, but they're making, $50 million. I don't give a shit. That to me, if it's up to the players, now if it's a management thing, okay, that's a totally different thing. But if it's up to the players, and the players are the ones saying, I want a night off, then that tells me that you're softer than what those guys were back then.
Because didn't Jordan play in the playoffs that one year, like really sick? Like he had like
the flu
or something.
Yeah,
he's out there like putting up points like crazy.
Well, and then I just saw a quote from, I can't remember what player it was, talking about, I think Jordan's last year with the Wizards, that he basically played on one leg almost the entire year because his knee was so messed up or whatever, and he still averaged 20 points a game and all that. Anyway. So
and one more, and you brought up a good point there too, Aaron, about these guys are playing, they have $50 million a year contracts or whatever they have, right? Well, why do they have $50 million a year contracts? Because of guys like Jordan,
exactly,
that made the game global. I mean, come on.
And I was just watching the ESPN 30 for 30 where they talk about the Lakers and Celtics, and they talked about how when Magic led the Lakers to the championship his rookie year over the Sixers, that was on tape delay. Like the NBA Finals was still on tape delay back then, for crying out loud. And now it's global with probably more fans globally than the NFL has. I mean, easily more fans globally than the NFL.
Yeah.
So, and that's all because of what those guys did. And there's no respect or appreciation for it. It just pisses me right off. Anyway. All right, everybody, have a great Labor Day weekend. Enjoy the college football first week, and we'll see you guys next Thursday.
Sounds good. Be safe,
Later,
guys.
fellas.
No dogs.